A-Life 2.0 is one of the most debated systems in Stalker 2 because it was never clearly defined before launch. Marketing referenced it frequently but avoided all the details. That gap allowed players to project their own expectations onto it. When the game was released, those expectations collided with a very different implementation. Since then, updates have steadily reshaped what A-Life actually is. In the original trilogy, A-Life created the feeling the zone existed without the player. NPCs moved between locations, fought each other, and died off screen. Quests could fail because something happened while you were elsewhere. The world did not wait for you to arrive. That unpredictability is what many players still associate with A-Life. At launch, Stalker 2 relied heavily on A-Life director-driven encounter system. NPCs and mutants spawned within a limited simulation radius, roughly around the player. Actors outside that bubble were not persistently simulated. When the player moved on, encounters often despawned. This made the world feel reactive rather than continuous. Because of that design, A-Life appeared artificial. Enemies could spawn behind the player, events could trigger inside friendly hubs, NPCs frequently froze after loading saves, and missions often broke movement logic entirely. These issues made the zone feel staged instead of alive. Patch 1.7 was the first update to stabilize A-Life. It fixed AI state desynchronization after saves and loads. NPCs resumed movement towards shelter during missions instead of locking up. Long-standing idle states were reduced. Many players considered this the most important A-Life related patch so far. Patch 1.7 also allowed the lairs system to function more consistently. Mutants and factions could occupy, defend, and lose locations dynamically. Areas could change hands without direct player involvement. Returning to familiar locations no longer guaranteed the same outcome. This is where A-Life started producing visible results. A-Life is now functional but uneven. Some players regularly encounter emergent moments, others see very little. Named NPCs can be encountered in multiple regions or found dead later. Bases can change occupants over time, however, these systems do not trigger consistently across the entire map. This also ties into a bigger problem the game still has, which isn't A-Life at all. It's how weapons, factions, and quests currently limit what the zone can become. It feels empty in some areas, especially closer to the end game. We'll cover this in a future video later this week, and let's move on. The simulation radius remains small, event spawning is still noticeable. On approach, NPCs can teleport across story-locked gates, encounters can still appear immediately after clearing an area. These issues undermine long-range observation and persistent world logic. Time will tell if the engine update can push the bubble to 150 meters or even 200 meters. Shaytech did a great job on the radius increase, but we need an official update from GSC. A-Life 2.0 is not a single system, it's a layered approach. A director creates narrative, interesting encounters near the player. A higher level simulation manages layers, territorial control, and faction pressure. When these layers align, the zone feels different. When they clash, the illusion breaks, which we keep seeing 10 bloodsuckers in certain areas, or once I saw nearly 40 blind dogs in one area, which is madness. Compared to older titles, A-Life is now closer in the spirit, but not scope. It lacks persistence and long distance. Compared to Anomaly, it avoids deep offline simulation entirely. These comparisons explain why opinions vary so widely. Different players are measuring against different baselines. If you're waiting for a deep offline simulation where the world resolves itself without you, it's better to wait. If you want trilogy-style experience with stronger atmosphere, better stability, and occasional emergent encounters, the game is in its best state since launch. A-Life is no longer missing, it's still incomplete, but heading in the right direction. Many of these limitations help explain why the next major update, 1.9, is taking longer than expected, which is next on screen.